Hi loves, it's Lacey and welcome to our space. So today I am very excited to be participating in a collaboration called the 5 Under $5 Challenge. And this month it is for Easter decor. It is hosted by the lovely Emily over at Farm Charm Chic, which she hosts this challenge every single month on the 5th of the month to give everybody some inspiration for budget-friendly DIYs that cost less than $5. And this month she has a special guest host, which is Wendy over at White Sparrow Living. They are both bringing some awesome DIYs to you, and I get to join this collaboration. So let's jump into my first DIY. For my first DIY, I'm going to be utilizing this plate from Walmart that has a scallop edge, and it costs 50 cents. It also comes in this cream color, and I do believe another color. I also have this Cloche. Now, I've had mine in my stash forever, so I paid $1 for that way back in the day. I also have this little bird that cost me 50 cents, and this little nest that's always been in my stash. I'm going to charge it 50 cents, but it came in a grab bag, so I don't even think it was that much. I also have this piece of wood, which I'm going to use and charge 25 cents because it was basically free from my yard. I'm showing you this butterfly, but we don't use it, so no charge for that. And then I have several picks here. Now, I have these little picks that came from Dollar General, and they say $1 on them. I also have this pick from a Dollar Tree. I've had these in my stash, so I'm going to use them as $1. You will see that I don't use all of this greenery or these picks, and so you will see at the end exactly how much and what I calculate to charge for. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take my little wood brick. I had used it over and over again. It's just cut from a tree, and put a little, I think it's actually shellac on it. I'm gluing it down to the center, and then I'm going to put my little nest on there to see exactly how high this sits, because I want it to be up enough that it looks good inside the cloche, but I did not want to glue to the nest. The nest is going to be free sitting. So I'm starting off with some of the eucalyptus that I took off of the stems that was on that big stem. That big stem ended up coming from Joann Fabrics, and it was $3.99 for it. But I always buy all of my greenery from places like that at the end of the season. So I did get it on clearance, I know, but I'm not going to be using very much of it. That's all of the eucalyptus that I'm using right there. But it also had these little pieces that stuck up, and they're like little open buds, and I took some of those off. Not very many, and I'm cutting them up so that they just fit inside the nest. I do this so I have some height and some different textures. I could skip this part, but I just thought they were kind of pretty. I don't use very many. I think it was like 3 stems off of that. But you will also see that I use this in a couple of my other DIYs. So I'm just sticking those in wherever they'll fit into the nest without having to glue them down. And then next, you'll see that I am putting in just a few stems of these really pretty pink flowers from Dollar Tree. I have a ton of these. They have about 9 or 10 buds on each stem. So I think I bought 5 stems way back in the day, and I still have at least 3 of them left. So I'm just tucking them in wherever I think they look nice. I also am putting in some of the little greenery that looks like the pine cones. And then I'm going to take my cloche top and make sure it fits in there and the flowers aren't too close to the edge. And it was perfect. Next, I'm going to remove the sticker on the inside. I just used soap and water. I was going to use a heat gun, but I've learned previously that that does not work. So we are going to take the little black tab and turn it and glue it down so it doesn't move, and then start decorating the top. This is one of my favorite things to do, is the added decorations once I come up with what I'm going to do. And I loved these thick leaves. They come in two different sizes, as you can see on one of the greenery picks that was from Dollar General. I've had those for years. All of my flowers I've had for years. My stash is really extensive, and so I decided to try to decorate from my stash instead of buying anything new. Though the plate is brand new. I bought several of the different colors and styles from Walmart because they are only 50 cents a piece. And we had to go to Walmart for something. So yeah, I bought several of those a little while back. So now this is personal preference. If you've been on my channel before, you just decorate to your own personal preference. So I put quite a few pieces from that pick of the eucalyptus on, and then just the leaves from the other pick. And then, like I said, these picks have like at least nine of these little flowers. You can see I pulled another pick. And so I put 5 of them over here to cover up the little black air vent on top of the cloche, and then it is done. And here's what it looks like. I'm in love with how this turned out. So here's the breakdown. The plate was 50 cents. The bird was 50 cents. The cloche was $1 since I had it in my stash. So we're at $2. The little nest, I'm going to charge 25 cents. And then the block of wood, 25 cents. So that's another 50 cents. And then I'm going to say the other $2.50 is all of the greenery and all of the florals. There's a little more greenery than the florals, but I never used all of either pick. So on to DIY number 2. I have here a Dollar Tree Easter egg from the plus section. It was $3. A thrifted candlestick, which was $1, and some ribbon. I'm also going to be using some ribbon buff with this. I'm going to paint my egg at this Blossom White with Rust-Oleum 2 times the paint and primer. And while that is drying, we are making a bow. I had these 2 pieces of ribbon left from something else that I made. So I'm taking a third piece, gluing down a loop to the middle of it, and then flipping the other side over, as you can see. That's exactly what I did to these other pieces that were in my stash. I am then going to glue them in order of height on top of each other. It's very simple. And then I'm going to squeeze them in the middle with another piece of ribbon, the same ribbon. I've had this ribbon in my stash for a while. I do believe it came from Hobby Lobby, and I've been using it over the course of a couple of years. So I'm just going to tie this in the back and then pull both of the tails to one side. The ribbon is basically the same on both sides, so it kind of works out. Then I'm going to stretch each side apart some and make the loops more less flat, have space in between them. I stick my finger in each one of them and fluff them up. And then I'm going to be able to grab my egg that's completely painted. This took like 4 coats for most of the pink not to show, but there's still a little pink here and there. I am then taking some Rub and Buff in the color Gold Leaf, and I have a wet wipe, and I'm like dabbing it on to the center eyes of the flowers. I thought that would work to make sure they each get enough, but in the end, I just used the wet wipe wherever Rub and Buff was on it and rubbed it all around. I was not trying to be careful. I was not trying to make a pattern. I wasn't trying to only get it on the top of the flowers. I just thought it would be pretty all over, and most of it was raised. So once that is done, I'm going to put it on the candlestick, but right here I am deciding, do I want to glue the bow to the candlestick or to the egg? And I decided I'm going to glue it to the egg. I thought it just sit prettier with the candlestick that I have, and it's had a little damage spot on it, so I'm going to glue it right to the damaged spot. After that, I'm just going to cut the tails to size, and I'm just doing them on the diagonal. And then this thing is done. I think it looks high end and it matches with my decor a whole lot better than that pink. You could do it any color, any way to match your decor, and it's just as simple as the DIY. So now we are going to go on to DIY number 3. DIY number 3 starts us off with this decorative plaque over here that came from Michael's. It was $3.99. It was 50% off. And then we are going to have this set of napkins that's $3.99 at HomeGoods also, and there are 40 in the pack. I've used some already in other DIYs. So we're going to get started with this with the salad plate. We're going to use some Mod Podge and coat the back of the salad plate. I already took out one piece of the napkin, opened it up and cut it up and took off one of the backings. And I'm going to then place it once the Mod Podge is dried. I'm pressing down to make an indentation on the napkin so I know exactly where it sits because we're turning it upside down on the Mod Podge. And we are going to use my little tiny heat press to reactivate the glue that's already dried on the napkin, on the salad plate, to adhere the napkin to it. Then I am taking my little emery board and slowly, you see how slow this is? I'm going to speed it up here in a second, but slowly going up and away from the napkin to remove the excess from the lip, because this is a very shallow salad plate. Now, that salad plate came in an entire set, and we'll discuss the cost of it in a minute, but then I took one drop of hot glue and put it down on our plaque plate, our charger plate, and then just glued it down. Now, I should have put more than one drop of glue in several spots. Be very careful because my napkin did kind of tear. I fixed it, but I think I'm going to take the whole thing off and redo it. So now I pulled a bunch of greenery and a bunch of flowers from several picks. The little ones up at the top that I showed you first, those are from that pick. You can see some of the pink ones that are from our flowers we used before, and then these are some daisies from this pick, and then I had this pick that came from Hobby Lobby, I think, and it had all these different kind of leaves that I pulled off of that and the flowers. So again, we're going to count them and as the flowers that came off each pick at the end. But now I'm just going to tuck them in underneath the salad plate. If you see, it is slightly higher than the bottom for it to be centered in the middle. The bottom is a little thicker of area that I had left. So I decided that I was going to decorate it underneath and make it like either a wall hanger or it could be set up on like a little picture stand. And I was going to set it up on a little stand because that would be considered in the $5. I have a clear one from Dollar Tree, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So I did not use it. I recently moved into a much bigger craft room and some of my things are not down from my small bedroom that I had before. So I could not figure out where it was. But I'm just using the colors in a pattern that match kind of the colors that are in the bunny. And this is it. I have it laying down so you guys can see it real clearly, but it is either a wall hanging, which I don't want to put it on the wall, or it would sit on one of those little stands where you can put a plate. The breakdown for this, really cheap. $2 for the charger plate, 30 cents for the other plate, 10 cents for the bunny, and then the flower we're going to just give the rest of the money to. I don't think it equals to that. I think I have enough flowers for one pick at $1.25, and then not even enough greenery. So I could use all the greenery in the cost of that one pick. But we'll say it costs $5. DIY number 4. I have a sun hat from Dollar Tree. It's a little girl sun hat. It says youth on it. I have bunny ears from Dollar Tree. This little bunny that came from Walmart from my girlfriend, Cheryl from Home Studio. I have in my hand the eggs. I don't know why I picked up. They were off some Dollar Tree picks and more of that pick that we just used. So what I'm doing here is I am bending these bunny ears backwards because they're too tight to go around the hat, but they will bend out a little. And then I'm bending the ears up. Now be really careful with this. I'm also removing the tag that was there. Be really careful with bending the bunny ears up because you can break the wire in it. I did not, but I've done this in the past and I know the wires can break in it. So I'm just bending them up to be around the hat. And I'm going to leave that little flower on there, though I'm covering it up and I'm gluing the bunny ears to the flower because there are little holes in the hat and the glue would just go straight through. So this is what that looks like. It's super simple. I'm going to take this biggest flower here that I have that kind of looks like a sunflower, and I'm going to stick it in the middle. And then I'm going to cut off the stem from this bunny. It has a little indentation on the front where the bow is. And Cheryl told me that when she gave it to me. These are so cute though. So I'm going to take off that little ribbon and turn it around so it faces the side that doesn't have the little indentation on it. And I'm just using my Ryobi linesman pliers to cut through that metal. And I'm going to cut it down as close as I can get it. If someone was wearing this, I would have pulled it out. Now I'm just going to glue the bunny over to one side, the side that the indentation's not on. And I'm gluing it to the actual bunny ears. And then I'm going to take one of the little eggs and glue it next to the ears. These came off of a pick from Dollar Tree. There's only 3 of them. And so there were more than 3 and greenery. And I think maybe florals. I'm not sure. But I don't have the whole pick. So we're going to give them like a 25 cents. If they were just in my stash. I have a lot of stuff left over in my stash. Then I'm gluing the other 2 that I have together. And I'm going to glue them next to the other ear. So just we have some Easter eggs on there with our bunny ear. They're a little sparkly, a little glitter on them, but they don't shed glitter. And then we're going to take more of the greenery and the florals off of this pick and put them on this hat as well. So this pick came from Hobby Lobby, and I know that it had a price tag of $12.99, but I did get it at the end of the season, and I still think I paid about half price or 60% off because I got it last year. I do remember that. And it was not like 90% off. So we're going to say that it was $6 for it. And I've been using it all along here. And so we're calculating the amount of flowers for that. So now I'm just decorating it to my personal preference. We haven't seen this flower yet. It was on the pick. And I'm going to be placing it next to the bunny ears, and then I'm just going to fill in around. I'm going to put some of the leaves that were different on there that we haven't used too, just to give a variety of different things and a different texture and some more color to it. I'm going to tuck those in behind the ears just so they pop out and color off the white hat. And then I think I'm going to put a couple on the edges. So this is what it looks like. I think it's super cute. And the breakdown for this one, the bonnet and the bunny ears, both from Dollar Tree, were $1.25 a piece. Takes us to $2.50. The little green bunny was 98 cents, so $3.50. And then we are going to use the other $1.50 for the rest of the flowers. And the greenery, it's only 4 little pieces of greenery. The flowers, like I said, came from clearance at Hobby Lobby. So now on to our final DIY. I went to the thrift store and I found this cute phone case that has floppy bunny ears. It's got this little pretty jewel thing inside of where the phone works and a bunny tail. I have this Dollar Tree little iridescent plastic glass, a whole bag of Dollar Tree heart-shaped jewels, and then I have these covered floral wire stems that are from Hobby Lobby, which I love. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to remove all of the fur and the ears from the fur and the tail from the fur of the phone case. So I have the ears and the tail that we're going to use. We're not going to use the big section. And I removed it all just by heating up the glue that attached it and they fell off. Next, I am taking some of the floral wire and I measured it out kind of just by eye. And I'm going to cut 2 big loops. Now these are going to be the loops to go in the bunny ears. And I'm just going to duplicate the second one, just making a loop and measuring it with the other loop because the bunny ears are the same size. And I'm going to cut that down with my wire cutters, my linesman cutters from Ryobi. And I'm going to then put those inside each one of the bunny ears, which are still stuck together, I see. I'm going to slide that in. And once I get that loop inside there, you can manipulate it with your fingers by pulling it apart. And it was very easy. It's not like you guys are going to find this exact thing, but you could make bunny ears and do this. And then I just twist it around so it won't come out and bend it over. And I do that on both of the ears. Then I grab my little bag of gems and I'm pulling out a purple heart that's in there that we're going to be using for our bunny's nose, and then more of that cover floral wire that I'm going to bend in half and make sure it's tight at the end that we are going to be using for whiskers. I'm going to bend 2 of these pieces completely in half like that, and then I'm going to take a third piece and bend it in half and cut it in half, so then I have 3 pieces for each side of the bunny's whiskers. Actually, I bend it in half after I measure to make sure it'll fit inside of the other one, and then cut it. And then I'm going to cut it in half because I want 1 extra piece for each side. Then I'm going to take and put a dot of hot glue in between the little ridges. So it's an indentation in there. And they're going to set inside there, and then I'll put the middle one inside of the bend, inside of the little V. Now, I did lose footage here, unfortunately. I don't know why. I glued that in, the first one, and then the footage cut off. I think my battery died and I didn't know. So I got all the whiskers on like that and then put the little heart nose on top of that. I put it in the indentation so that the heart nose would go on easy. And then I turned around and glued on the tail. The tail went on right behind where the nose, just lower to the ground. And then I glued on the ears, and this is what it looks like. The ears glue on very easy because it is thick on the bottom and you just have to hold it to dry. The breakdown for this was simple. It was $1 for the whole phone case and then $1.25 for that glass. I'm going to say because they have them now and that's how much you're going to have to pay for it. I've had mine for a little while. I don't know how much I paid for it. It might have been $1.25. And then the floor wire, you get a ton in there. I'm going to charge that at 25 cents. And the little nose piece, oh, there's a million in there. So 10 cents. So we came in really far under. That is all I have for you. I want to thank Emily from Farm Charm Chic and Wendy from White Sparrow Living for hosting this collab. I'm going to link both of their channels down in the description box along with the playlist for this. collab, please go over and show everyone some love. I want to thank you guys too for watching my collab video. Comment down below which one of these was your favorite DIY that I did. For me, I probably have to say it was the first one, just because that can be easily changed out per season just by removing some of the flowers and adding something different to sit in the middle of it. But I do love each and every one of these that I did, and they all can probably be made with Dollar Tree products or things from your stash. That is it, and I will catch all of you in my next video. Bye, loves.